Hello, it's Post-Match Pint. I'm Neil Atkinson. I've got Kieran, Molyneux, and I've got Shaun O'Donnell. We're in the Angus in Crosby, very settled down. Just got back a little bit late, tough getting out of Preston, but we find ourselves here right now. We're obviously going to talk about this in two phases. Phase 2 is going to be the football, because Liverpool played the game of football. They won it by 3-1, and it has meaning, it has significance going into the season. They wouldn't have done many training sessions before it, and the reason for that is the first thing we're going to talk about, which is Diogo, Jota, and we'll start off Keo, I think, by first and foremost making crystal clear the way Preston North End handled all of this was absolutely tip-top. You couldn't have asked any more of them.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say that I didn't know what to expect. I don't think anyone knows what to expect. But credit to Preston, well, more than credit. Thank you to Preston, I suppose. They handled it fantastically. They lay in the reef in front of our fans, applauding, honouring the silence.
The singing of both anthems?
Yeah. Just handled it really, really well. I know they had a part to play in the commemorative programme that went out before the game as well. Can't say much more than thank you.
It's important, I think, to remember that. And all the way through this, you know, it's been, what's one of the things that's been striking, I think, Shaun, is that the football world, to use that phrase that I think gets overused at times, has just been really supportive of Liverpool, really supportive of the family of Diogo and Andre. It's worth always pointing that out, because they're both footballers. You felt that comes through with it, and I think it came through today with Preston massively.
Yeah, it did. To be fair, I think, I mean, it was all ends of the ground standing up singing the Jota song, wasn't there? You know, there was a moment on 20 minutes, I think, where our end stood up, and then it just sort of, almost like a Mexican wave, just went round the ground, and everyone was stood up, everyone was clapping. All very respectful, you know, which you would expect, but it is nice to see it when it happens, do you know what I mean? And I think that you do respect it a little bit more, particularly when you're there and you're sort of feeling it and you're seeing what it was just it wasn't a nice atmosphere, because that's the wrong word, but it didn't feel too horrible, if that makes sense.
Well, what I thought was really interesting was the way the atmosphere felt. Was there was obviously the commemorative stuff beforehand, then some singing, then there was a bit of a break to what you'd feel was a normal pre-season, then there was 20 minutes on the 20-minute moment onwards, and then second half there was a return to in and out of normality, back to tributes, and then there was the end. The very end of the match, with the whole squad and coaching staff in front of the end. And that felt like the most emotionally intense moment for everyone. For the players, but for us, but for the players. The players being the priority, because a number of them looked deeply moved, looked upset, to be frank. And there's still a long way to go in terms of their own processes.
Yeah, Keo said before he didn't know what to expect, and I sort of thought I knew what to expect, which is everything up until the end of the game. And I think at the end of the game, you're up close, you're with the players, you are seeing, as you say, how visibly upset they are. I think I mentioned it before on something, but it actually it hit me a little bit, that, because you're looking at Van Dijk, he looks visibly really sort of upset by it all, which you would be, which is fine. But I think just to see it that close to him, to see the rest of the players, to see Slot, you know, they were stood in front of us for about 15-20 minutes, weren't they, while we were just continuously singing the song. And then I think me and you said to each other, we're going to have to sort of give them permission to leave here, because this is a bit, it's going on, but they didn't want to leave. Do you know what I mean?
There was a moment where, just before you said that to Neil, the Slot walks round and says something to Van Dijk, and I'm wondering on the lines, he said, like, these will sing this forever. Yeah. I think there's something along that. I don't know what he said to him, but he sort of pointed at it to say, like, who's going to make the move?
Yeah, I honestly think the players had just stood there all night. It looked like that was something that they'd needed in all of this. They needed to just stand there, and you know, it was a different away end to normal today, so it was slightly different, but it was still very Liverpool. It was still very, you know, it was still one of them emotional connections that, you know, you get from time to time in a football ground, and we seem to get quite a lot of. The thing that struck me and hurt me, I say hurt me, that's the wrong word, but when Robertson just sort of got up and left, because obviously everyone else was stood there clapping, and you could see he was crying, I think, and he walked away, he grabs Curtis Jones and he walks away, and you just feel like this is really heavy, what's happened, really heavy, and we've known about it, we've known how heavy it is, but to see it in front of your eyes, it just, it wasn't great.
It feels like it's a moment that they've had with a Liverpool away end. They now disappear off on tour. They then come back. Then they've got the first time back at Anfield. They're going to have to navigate that one. Then they're going to have the Community Shield. They're going to have to navigate that one, which is going to have Wembley. And then there's going to be the first league game. And I think the first league game anyway is always has an intensity about it, Keo. I just think they've got to take each of these steps, and we've just got to take them with them every single step of the way.
Yeah, it's why I wanted this today to go ahead. It's why I thought today was important. There's probably a massive case for postponing the game, but we said a few times this week, football is the constant. Football is the only thing that carries on through tragedies, through losing family members, through losing friends. We just continue to go to football. And that's probably the same for players. The players just want to play football. The good news is we've got a few games before that first Premier League game, because that will be the emotional one. But being able to play some football leading up to that, get a bit of normality. We're talking about football. We're talking in a minute about how players perform today, and that's the next step, isn't it? And then after that, it's, you know, how do they look in pre-season on the tour, and then it's a Charity Shield, which we all want to win, and then for, you know, we're back in.
In the vein of being back in, Shaun, let's talk about what we actually got to see. Start off with the obvious positives, which was, you know, Trey Naoni and Rio Ngamoa. Rio wears Rio on his back, so we'll stick with calling him that throughout. But I thought Naoni and Rio both looked like they were in good company. I think that's the key thing here. I'm not going to say that either of them was absolutely, I think Rio has a good game, but he's not Pele. But the point is he looks like he suits playing left-hand side for a Liverpool team that's got Mo Salah in it, if you see what I mean. And for me, that's a starting point. It's a big starting point.
I mean, he looked like every time he got it, something was going to happen, which is something that you couldn't say about all of them today. He looked exciting. He looks like when he gets the ball, he wants to go and beat someone. He's cutting inside. He's creating all the chances first half, which, you know, for a young lad coming through, we've heard all the noises about how good he is and stuff. But again, like today, to see it with your eyes, you go, oh, actually, there is something there. I think you were saying before, Keo, we remind you of when Sterling was coming through, where he's got that attitude of like, I am good enough to be here, I can be here.
And the noise around him. I mean, he talked recently, didn't he? I know about wanting to play at the highest level and win Ballon d'Ors. He's got a lot of belief in himself, but also the people around him seem to be like, this kid's ready.
Absolutely. I thought he was brilliant. I thought they both were. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was just a case of, because pre-season friendlies, I don't know if it's just like us getting old or going through things. Like for me, I did not expect the quality on show that we're seeing today. I thought the quality was like, it was there from minute one from most players, to be fair. And I feel like for me, I was expected to come in and everyone's sort of still hungover from the holidays and they're coming and bouncing in. They haven't done any
2 stone overweight.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to do some running just to get back in the game, but this wasn't that at all. This was, and as you said, the two youngsters were, for me, the start of the show first half.
Yeah, I think let's do Rio and then we'll do Naoni. Keo, I think the brightness, but also the level of trust that you can see that they've got him. They're working the ball to him as quickly as they can. Again, I think that all those footballers think he's a really good player.
Yeah, you can tell they all think he's a really good player. I've said this over the years with prodigies and the next big thing. If you can't do it when you're 17, 18, you don't look mustard. Then the chances of you getting to the very, very top are slim. You've seen a bit Rooney. You know them players when you see them at a certain age, they've got something. Now, I'm not putting them in that category yet at all, but I'm saying he's got something. You can see he's got something. When he gets the ball, you think, something's going to happen here. And I know we're playing against Preston, but he was flying past their players, no bother. He was causing all the problems. I think he's going to be making a real case for himself this year. Definitely in the League Cup, maybe in the FA Cup. But I don't think he's the type of player who's going to say, I'll go on loan and, you know, try and play for the move. I think he's going to say, I'm going to be Liverpool's left winger.
I think the other one I mentioned before, Trey Naoni, Keo, I thought he was, at times, his frame, he's clearly grown. What he was doing, it was sort of caught your eye a little bit like, was that him or was it Gravenberch? And there was a couple of elements of that where you were a little bit like, and it looks to me like they've coached the life out of him to play that left-sided sort of role where sometimes you need to be very, the way McAllister does it, where sometimes you need to be almost like a number 10, but sometimes you need to be all the way back like you're protecting the midfield as well in conjunction. I think he looks like, we knew he was talented. What I saw today was a footballer who looks like he's been impeccably coached.
We all confused him for Gravenberch at one point. You asked me, is that 38 and he had 98 on his back? I think you said, well, in Gravenberch at one point. Just shows how mature the performance, that's the word I'm going to use. He seems a really, really mature footballer, and as you said, that can do a lot of things. He's another one. Is it a loan, or is it a case of he knocks on the door in the League Cup and in the FA Cup? There's a reason.
It'd be hard to loan him, wouldn't it? I mean, that's the thing I've got sympathy when he plays like that. And what I mean is, you know, how do you pitch the club? Because exactly. you want him to be on the ball because that's so much of what he's good at. So if you want him to be on the ball, he's got to go to a really good club. But obviously that rules the Premier League out. Do you want him running around championship games? Do you want that? I think it's hard to imagine a loan, but maybe Liverpool are clever people.
Completely agree. Yeah, it have to be a really right club for him. I think he's going to be featuring in the League Cup and the FA Cup. Same with Ngamoa. There's a reason them two were in there from the start today.
Yeah, I think they're both exciting. It's all right for people to be excited. It's, you know, I can see how both are able to, by the end of the season, have maybe made 10, 11, 12 good appearances for Liverpool. I don't mean 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. I mean getting at least 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I think just listening to you then, I think the difference between them and maybe opportunities that'll come, it's a lot harder to get in centre mid, isn't it? Just because of like, and because you're small and stuff, it's like the Premier League, it's physical, and you see how Slot wants them to play. So I think the only reason that they probably wouldn't loan him out now is exactly what you said, because he won't be on the ball much. If he goes to a Championship club, for example, it's going to be a bit more graft, and it's not going to be quite what he needs. So they might choose to, as I say, keep him as sort of this, not bit part player, but a youngster in the squad, basically. Whereas on the wing, you know, a couple of injuries, and all of a sudden you've got your chance, and that could be in the league, that could be in the Champions League,
and there's less risk, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
giving someone half an hour left wing,
exactly,
in centre midfield, and especially at the back.
Yeah, exactly that. So I think, listen, it's nice to have good youngsters, and I know we've sort of paid for these youngsters, haven't we? But it's nice to have them in the squad. It's nice to be talking about youngsters, which is what pre-season's about, isn't it? But it's good to be talking about it so early.
But we talk about, look at Curtis Jones, look at Harvey Elliott, like the players they are now. They've had a big career at Liverpool, and they've got they're very young. The same thing can happen with these two. They can be around the squad that win titles and win trophies, and you know, be part of big semi-finals and big finals, and build the experience that way.
Other two I want to talk about are at the back. Keogh. Goalkeeper didn't have much to do, so we'll sort of gloss over him. I think it's an interesting little challenge. Liverpool are going to have to work out that he's left-footed, because you get used to playing back a certain way, but he's left-footed. I thought Bradley obviously scores, but you could see again what the role's going to be like for him, how he can be involved, popping up, as Frimpong was second half, popping up almost centre-forward at times.
So that's in the ground.
Yeah, but just going all the way in, just going pen spot, going inside forwards, going inside of Salah. It's going to be dead interesting to watch, and Bradley's there, back post, in order to put in a pretty composed finish.
It's going to come down to who we're playing. It's as simple as that. There's going to be times where teams are not going to get out of their own half, and when that's the case, we want Frimpong on the opposition pen spot, like we've seen him a couple of times today. But there's also going to be times where, you know, you're playing Man City or you're playing, you know, Chelsea away, tough game, and you think we're putting Bradley in at right back. I don't know who's going to start on the opening day. I haven't actually processed this yet. I'm leaning towards Bradley. I think it will be Bradley. But yeah, it's going to come down to who we're playing against and what we need out of them.
And subs as well. He's got 5 subs every single game. I think you'll see a lot of that. I want to talk about Gomez, not because he does anything spectacular. It was just good to see him back playing football. 45 minutes. I thought everything seemed quite controlled.
Yeah.
Until about 35 or so, maybe he tired a little bit, maybe just Preston went up a level. But it was just good to see him back playing for Liverpool. He's such an accomplished footballer.
Great to see him playing. Great to see him playing centre back as well.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he has got games over the last couple of years. Obviously not last season, but the season before he plays a lot of games. But it's mainly at left back, isn't it? Which obviously won't be what he wants to do. So it's nice to see him playing centre back. I love Gomez. It's such a shame what's happened with injuries and stuff. I think he's a solid player. He's always been a solid player for us. You know. Solid's probably doing him a disservice. He's been much better than that for us. So it was good to see him today. I just hope he can stay injury free, because, you know, we were talking about it before, and I think you're not going to get any offers for him, so you can't cash in on him just purely because of his injury record. So it's not someone that you can say, okay, we might get 30, 40 million quid and then we'll use that to buy someone else. We're going to have to use him. So I think that if he can just stay away from the bad luck that he seems to keep on tripping over, you know, you wouldn't want Gomez in the squad.
There's another reason to keep him around as well. I think we talk about leaders and leadership groups and stuff like that, but Joe Gomez doesn't really get put in that.
He's the longest serving player, isn't he?
But he's the longest serving player at Liverpool. He's the one that's been continuously there through regime changes, through players leaving, through... I think he's got a lot to offer. I said this every single season. I wouldn't get rid of him. I don't want the money. You know what I mean? We don't necessarily need the money for him. He can play at left back and play at right back. And when he plays at centre back, you know, we win titles. So keep Joe Gomez around this football club as long as he wants.
Second half, Keogh, I thought it became a little bit fractured, a little bit funny, the game, and then Liverpool managed to reassert themselves a little bit. It was interesting to see that there was just a lot of aggression on the pitch, a lot of desire to push as high up as they possibly could, and a big part of that was Kirkes. I think it was a lovely little first cameo, up to include him when he decided to try and head the ball on the floor in a pre-season friendly, which shows some commitment to the cause.
Yeah, I was looking at him like, you all right? As I said to you, I don't think I'd do that in a European Cup final. I'd think twice about doing that in a European Cup final. He's doing it like 85 minutes, 3-1 up at Preston away. Yeah, pre-season game.
that plays the ball into his head, but the lad's not in the wrong.
Exactly.
It's a really key point.
Yeah. I haven't seen any stats yet. We literally come in the cast. We come straight through this show. I'm sure there's going to be some stats flying about his first performance. But from what I've seen, it was a really, really decent debut. I'll use the word game. He's game. He's very game. He's a game footballer. He wants to get up and down.
Game, to be honest.
Yeah, he wants to get up and down. He wasn't scared of tackles. I think he's going to be a really. What do you pay for him? 35 million quid.
35 million plus the add-ons. Yeah.
I've already got 2 decent fullbacks for 70 million quid. I'm dead excited by the pair of them. But yeah, I think Kirk is out of the two is the one that's going to be throwing his head in a little bit more after what I've seen today.
Although we did roll his shorts up.
And he rolled his shorts up as well, did all the
So would you, if you just threw your head in?
Yeah. There's other little bits and pieces. We've got Nunez gets his goal and obviously dedicates that goal to Jota with the celebrations, a couple of different celebrations. Gakpo, when he scores, does the same thing. It's neat football. The third, I think. Yeah. Lovely, good play from Doak, who's a very frustrating footballer, a very odd footballer, but he's capable of excellence, it's worth saying. Good step over from Nunez to leave it, and Gakpo just sort of strokes it home. The two good goals, but again, it was interesting that off the back of both of them, both Nunez and Gakpo wants to pull it back to Jota. Yeah,
of course. And listen, we've seen that just like from across the footballing world, haven't we? There's been lots of things like that, which is very nice to see. And obviously, it was good to see it from those two today. I think from a footballing point of view, the second half just opened up quite a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think the first half was it was very sort of feeling each other out pre-season style, whereas the second half felt a bit more like, it's almost like a cup game. It was a bit end to end. I thought our quality shone through, particularly with Gakpo. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he just stood out against anyone on the pitch, to be honest, for me.
He looked so fit.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely looked like he could just go and play a Premier League game tomorrow if you needed him to. He looked so fit, didn't he?
He did. And even like it's just, we know he's good with his footwork and stuff, but it just, again, because we were quite low down today, just being quite close to it and seeing him do it maybe against players that are a few levels below him, he just stood out for me. I thought Jones looked sharp, to be fair.
Yeah, really did.
Yeah, I thought he looked sharp. I thought he looked fit. I think, it was and Nunez is just. I mean,
it's just
how
Nunez.
many times we're going to say it about Nunez, you know what I mean? There's like there's so many emotional twists and turns, just even in a 45-minute spell watching Darwin Nunez, isn't there? Because like at one point we were saying if he scores a hat-trick, we'll go to town.
How many times do you reckon you said that? Yeah. How many times you been to town?
Yeah. Well, yeah, wasn't meant to be.
Wasn't meant to be. Just to end it up, Keo, they've been a credit to themselves today. The way they've gone about that game as well. Like I've come out of it obviously with all the emotion. All that emotion was there all the way through. But I've also just come out to praise Gakpo there for his fitness. I agree with Shaun on Curtis. Just looked bright as anything. Looks like he could look after it. You know, Endo snapping into tackles as you'd expect. But still, the point being is that they've been an absolute credit to themselves, and that's all we could have asked for. You know, you can just be proud of them the way they've got through today. But also, they look in good shape. They look ready to do the thing that they're going to have to do, which is to defend the Premier League title.
100%. We've been quite firm over the past week or two about how nothing else matters apart from the family, etc. But we've also said at some point the football's going to come back. And the football is coming back, and I wouldn't care. I wouldn't give a shite if Liverpool lost every single game up until Christmas. I just wouldn't. But I don't think that's going to happen based on what I've seen today. I mean, I know you talk before about Robbo getting upset a little bit and stuff like that, but the players surprised me a little bit how strong they seemed today. There was a little period after the kick-off where we started singing normal songs. Paul Scholes and Tommy got sung. It just felt like a bit of an away game for a second. So yeah, I mean, credit to Liverpool, credit to Preston, credit to the players, and credit to all the supporters in the end today who sang with them and clapped them.
Indeed. Thank you very much to Milo, who's had to wait very patiently for us to get onto the Preston traffic to pull this together. Very, very good of him indeed. Thank you very much to Keo, to Shaun. I've been Neil Atkinson. This has been Post Match Pint. Liverpool, hallelujah, hallelujah.